So Daniel Nahmod, uh, when he was starting his brilliant career, probably 30 years ago, I had him come to our center in Palo Alto, and I remember looking at him at breakfast the morning he was going to play and saying, "Daniel, how old are you, like 14 now?" He has this beautiful young look about him he'll always have. He's one of the most creative people, continuing to expand. I mean, ties right in with our talk today. So nearly 30 years ago, and now he belongs to all of us. You know, he is a world traveler. He's a beautiful, creative, loving, wise and wonderful soul. And Reverend Mike and I are very grateful that a week from Tuesday, when we were in Los Angeles for Reverend Mike's son Kyle's memorial celebration, that Daniel is coming to play and sing for us. It will make it really special. So we continue to grow and expand. And it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who said, "The mind once stretched by a new idea never returns to its original dimensions." You know, we remember the old Newtonian physics, clockwork universe. We got over that, didn't we? Quantum physics came along, Heisenberg, uncertainty principles, and we realized that this is a responsive universe. It's alive and it's creative, and we are part of it. And so we got over the old idea that things are set and this is the way they're going to be. We recognize that we have more of an impact on our lives and on the world around us than once upon a time we were taught to believe. Do you recall the first time that you tried to learn another language? Some of you speak other languages quite well, and some are just learning. But do you remember how it felt when you finally were able to communicate with another person in another language? Do you remember how it felt to have your world expanded to the point that you could... I have always, in my whole life, since I was a child, wanted to know every language in the world so that I could speak with anyone at any time, because I really felt that I had a lot to say. It feels so... What did you say, Johanna? It feels wonderful to be able to communicate with another person that we thought before that we weren't able to communicate with. Socrates, you know, considered himself a citizen of the world. And he never left Greece, but he considered himself a citizen of the world, discovering and sharing wisdom with all beings, knowing his oneness with everything and everyone. Many years ago, I took myself to Greece for 3 weeks, 3 glorious weeks. Some of you have heard this more than you want to hear it. But I can recall I had been studying ancient Greek at Berkeley, and there are no dead Greeks walking around you can talk to. So, and I wasn't into speaking it anyway. I wrote it fairly well. Modern Greek is different, so I had my Berlitzer book on the way over. It takes a long time, to get there. You can learn a lot on an airplane when you're flying that far. So I'm learning some modern Greek phrases, and I had the joy of looking at street signs and being able to pronounce them. And so I'm learning some phrases in modern Greek, and it was such a joy to be able to connect even a bit with folks. Of course, they all speak English anyway, unless you get out to the small islands, and then they don't, but they still speak love. They still speak music, and there's always a common language. But it was so wonderful to be able to communicate, and it really expanded my mind and my heart simply to be there. And then I returned to where I was living in Mountain View, California, and where I lived, I could walk to the downtown, and I remembered just a few days after I had returned that as I'm walking downtown, I passed 5 different ethnicities, and I thought, I don't have to go to Europe to realize that I am a citizen of the world right here. And wouldn't it be wonderful if I could speak everybody's languages? I'm still working on that. I am so grateful to feel that I am a citizen of the world. And once I expanded into that awareness, I have never returned to being so local. All knowledge is contained in infinite mind. Remember? All knowledge. All of it. All wisdom, all love, all compassion as well. And in the process of human evolution, we personalize and we utilize this infinite knowledge and infinite intelligence and wisdom. We utilize it to the degree that we align ourselves with it and become an open instrument for its flow. And become an open instrument for the creative, intelligent activity to work through us so that we can co-create anything we want in our lives and in the world. The only limitation is within us. The only thing that stops us is a false belief that says, well, I'm only this or I'm only that, or what do you expect? We have so much to get over. Perhaps we once believed that our IQs limited us, except for those of you sitting here who have them over the chart, and I know who you are. Now we know that we're individualized centers of divine intelligence, and that all the infinite intelligence of this universe is available to us at all times right where we are. There's no limit to what we can know, what we can do, what we can be. So these old limiting beliefs, anybody got any old limiting beliefs? Did you bring any with you? Oh, there's a hand in the back. Okay, good. There's one person with a limiting belief. We'll fix you, don't worry. Talk to one of the practitioners. We all have them, and we all get over them when we put our minds to it. And they disappear, these old limiting beliefs. The energy of them is transformed into something more real, something more helpful, something more positive and constructive in our lives when we make that decision. And we're thankful for the newer, truer awarenesses that have always been true, but some of those temporary facts may have gotten in the way. My father, God bless him, he had a lot of biases. Somehow, as a child, I knew differently. And I was thrilled to see, as the years went by, how he opened up his heart and mind and recognized that he might have been mistaken about a few things. Can you identify with any of that? We're expanding in consciousness, both individually and as a human race. I've spoken with you before about this wonderful concept of the four kingdoms of consciousness. Kingdom one is, whether it's the individual or whether entire humanity, Kingdom one is the area where we really can't do much by ourselves. Things are done for us or to us, as the infant. Infant is completely reliant upon its parents and caretakers, yeah? So everything is done for us or to us, and as we grow in awareness, we want to move into Kingdom 2, which is where everything is done by us, by my own hand. And we have to move through those places. As a child who becomes a 2-year-old, anybody ever have any of those? Anyone ever be one of those? Well, we have a little motto that we've used here, and it all came out of my eldest son, Jim. And if you know it, you can go ahead and say it with me. He was 2 when he decided he could do everything by himself and for himself. And so he would say, I can do it my by self. We enter into that place where I can do it. We must enter into those expansive processes where we're no longer reliant on something or someone. We can do it ourselves. We have to go through that. We're growing up the ego. The ego has to be healthy, yes? And the same thing happens in humankind, where the first stage 1 is follow the leader consciousness. Stage 2, kingdom 2, is get out of my way. I can do it myself. I don't need you. We need to move to the next kingdom, kingdom 3. Kingdom 1 is the kingdom of no creation. Kingdom 2 is the kingdom of slow creation. Kingdom 3 is the kingdom of co-creation, where we're working together with each other to use this divine intelligence and this beautiful creative process to make our lives beautiful and to make the world wonderful the way it was intended to be. So have you noticed that there is a lot of separation going on in our world, that there is a lot of individualistic thinking because we've been going through the age of information. Globally, we're connected. Here, in the heads, our hearts are very confused. There are so many opinions out there. Have you noticed that? Did you notice that not everybody is of the same opinion as you? Amazing. What's wrong with those people? We have so many different opinions, so many different ways of being. So this global connection, the internet and so forth, great, but we're disconnected from each other. You go into a restaurant, there can be an entire family sitting there, each one on his or her phone. Where's the connection? We can do something about this. You see, I'm never going to present you with a problem that we can't solve. And the reason we can solve it is that we have access to infinite mind and the infinite heart of the divine. And so we can move into Kingdom 3 in our individuality, and then we can help each other move into Kingdom 3 in co-creation, where we're bringing beautiful ideas and thoughts and feelings together and honoring each other's opinions and ways of being. Don't you think it's time that we did that? We have something exciting coming up here that you're going to be hearing about in the next few weeks from the Burts, and I'm not even going to tell you about it right now, except it's wonderful. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to learn to talk to each other and listen to each other in a whole new way. Because there is a great divide in so many areas in our world right now and in our country, isn't there? So I'll just give you a hint. One of the greatest divides is this political schism. And what they're bringing to our table helps us to learn to hear with respect and to speak with compassion and to acknowledge and maybe even admire each other. This is a beautiful way to move into Kingdom 3. Thank you. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. Are you curious? Good. We've got to learn to work with our own internal patterns, our own internal, usually unconscious biases, until we become freer within ourselves. When we do this, we can connect on a deeper level with each other, and we can expand our hearts as well as our minds. You see, there is a great light that's moving into human consciousness. You and I are a great part of that. There are light workers, as you know, all over the world. There is a divine happening taking place. It doesn't always feel that way, does it? It feels like so much upset and so much hate and so much derision and so much lack of clarity and confusion. Hang on, kids. Hold on. We're moving through a very important process right now. And it begins by doing our own personal work. I do my fear to faith work, which many of you are aware of, which we do in our sacred healing sessions. And it's important to me to do that. I cannot be a clear instrument for myself or anyone else if I'm not doing my own internal work, and I love it. And then with this light coming into our human consciousness, we need to be ready to receive it. Are we open to receive a new way, something beyond what we knew before? Something beyond I can't do it? Something beyond I'm the only one who can do it? Something more about let's do it together? And then, of course, the fourth kingdom, we touch into that occasionally, and that's the kingdom of nothing to do but let Spirit be itself in, through, and as us. Wow. Great Catholic mystic years ago said, let God be God in you. Don't you love that? Let the divine be itself expressing in and through you as each of us was created to be. And then we're expanding into a whole different area. We can't come back to old biases. We can't come back to old frustrations or old opinions once we've come into that beautiful sunlight of our souls. So yes, we're ready to receive more of this light. We're ready to be greater conductors of this life, greater instruments of its expression. So yes, we are ready in our own spiritual community. We want to let it shine by a deeper connection to the presence divine and a willingness to play together in the light. Don't you think we ought to be playing together more? I do too. I think this is what's up right now, is that we have this big heavy thing in our minds, this big brain, and we need to be doing something with it. Okay, let's let it have a recess. Shall we all have a recess? Let's just play and not get so serious about everything. You know, and Ernest Holmes said, take what you're doing seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously while you're doing it. And I love that, and you know I don't. Those of you who have been around for a while, and some of you were around longer than I've been here, but those who have been with me these almost 5 years know that I don't take myself very seriously. And it's a sweet way to be. It's a wonderful way to live. And one of my favorite things to laugh at, me. You know, it's so wonderful to do a ta-da every now and then. And just let it roll right off. Let it roll right off. That's how we grow. That's how we thrive. So let's bond with Spirit. And let's bond even more with each other. And let's use this marvelous, marvelous law of mind to co-create heaven on earth. Continue courting the presence and directing the law. When we are completely filled up with that clear knowing that Spirit is all there is, and it is right here, and I am the instrument through which it expresses, that's the time to choose what we're ready to bring into our world. That's the time to direct the law. So now we're awakening to a mighty moving power of infinite mind. It's available to us always, right here, right now. Now we're awakening to the great heart that we all share. And a mind and a heart expanded beyond its former limitations can never go back. Isn't that great? It's out here now. Can't go back. How far can it go? How far are you willing for it to take us? Let's do this journey together. Will you say, my mind is made new by wisdom. I am transformed by love. I am expanded. And I choose to bring heaven to earth. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson. Thank you.